What's up, YouTube? So this is a video for you guys. I'm recording to watch something on YouTube that I find very interesting, and I think you guys might like it too. So stay tuned and let's watch it. Wendigo biology explains science of the Wendigo. Alright, guys, let's go.
This presentation is sponsored by Wondrium.
Okay, let's go. Okay, it says from the archives now stored at Angelwood University in Connecticut. The following recording was obtained as part of a collection that was included the dissertation on so-called human vampiric virus, human zombieism virus, and more. These were just a few of many recordings made in mid to late 20th century, although their authorship remains unconfirmed. As before, what follows and uncut, restored, and channel recordings look real. Something. And yeah. Alright, let's go.
Another presentation. For years, legends of indigenous peoples in the northern United States and southern Canada have spoken of a terrifying creature known as the Wendigo. This mysterious and malevolent being is said to haunt the snowy wilderness, preying on unsuspecting travelers and feasting on human flesh. I warn you, what you'll find here is likely not what you expect. Modern portrayals of the Wendigo legend have warped public perception of this biological horror, and the reality is likely far different than the image in your mind. But make no mistake, this pale specter is no less terrifying. Lend me your ear, valued listener, as I present to you my personal findings as to the form and function of the Wendigo. In the Northern Territories, winter falls quickly, lying on the land like a body, heavy and unfeeling. But in those regions, it's more than simply cold. Winter seems to swallow warmth, drawing it out of every surface.
Okay, sorry guys to pause the video, but yeah, guys, let me your ears and eyes, and let me know what you guys think. Your opinion on is about the Wendigo, and what do you think? What do you think it looks like to you? All right, here we go.
Touches. Long, frigid nights are broken only by the howling of the wind, and the forests that teemed with life only months before become lonely and desolate. Stalking this frozen wilderness is a creature of legend, a spirit of the lonely places, a hunger that is never satisfied. Selfishness personified. The Algonquin people have many names for it, a kind of manitou most often called the Wendigo or Wendigo. The Wendigo is said to be cursed to wander the land, eternally seeking to fulfill their voracious appetite for human flesh. In the harsh conditions brought on by winter, men and women often found themselves doubting that the little food they had would carry them through to spring. Eventually, supplies would begin to thin, and many had to face starvation and eventually death. It is here that the Wendigo is said to make its appearance, where desperation meets self-interest and people are left with an unthinkable choice: consume another human being or die. Anyone who succumbs to this temptation, the most reprehensible act possible in Algonquin culture, was said to become possessed by the spirit of the Wendigo and would undergo a horrific transformation in both mind and body. In eating the flesh of a fellow human, one was forced to surrender their own humanity, and though they ate, they would never be satisfied. Since the time of the earliest contact with the Native American and First Nations people, sightings of the Wendigo have been reported from Canada, the Great Lakes, and northern Minnesota, though they are almost certainly present in a much larger geographic area. My grandfather, anthropologist Harold Zeiger, would often tell me stories of the Ojibwe people, among whom he spent a considerable amount of time observing their culture and rituals and documenting their oral histories. These stories frequently included accounts of the Wendigo, a creature that, I must admit, kept my younger self awake many a night, hardly daring to glance at my bedroom window, lest a cold, pale shadow in the woods outside should catch my gaze. Of course, as is commonly known, many years ago, while on a university-funded trip to the Minnesota-Canada border, Professor Zeiger went missing, and I never heard from my grandfather again. But that is a story for another time. There is perhaps no greater external agent of change than the lowly and insidious virus, an organism exquisite in its simultaneous complexity and simplicity. Forged by eons of specialization, viruses inhabit nearly every biome on the planet, and the frigid regions of Central North America are no different. At some point in early humans here, there appeared a strain that I believe to be part of the class Herbivoricides, a virus that I have tentatively dubbed the Progressive Anthropophagic Virus, or PAV. Indeed, PAV would be a new addition to a class previously occupied solely by herpes viralis, an order that includes numerous herpes viruses, none of which are normally fatal in humans, or which cause such drastic revisions to their hosts' cellular genomes. My reason for this potential classification has to do with PAV's structural similarity to HSV-1. Like that virus, PAV is a double-stranded DNA virus with an icosahedral capsid enclosed in a glycoprotein-containing lipid envelope. What separates this virus from its likely cousin, however, is its method of infection and the areas of the body it targets. Upon infection, usually via the mucosal epithelium of the mouth, the virus spreads via axonal transport along the internal laryngeal nerve and ultimately to the inferior ganglion of the vagus nerve. Infection is usually inapparent, and if any symptoms are present, they're often dismissed as the common cold or even seasonal allergies, sore throat, slight fever, and general malaise. But once the virus has spread to the inferior ganglion, the viral genome goes silent, seeming to cloak itself in a coating of nucleosomes and enters an extended latent phase. Occasionally, however, certain environmental conditions may cause the virus to reactivate, at which point it uncoats its nucleocapsid and begins the process of replication, transcription, and assembly before budding from the host cells and finally traveling back to the nearby mucosal epithelium. As you might have guessed, during a flare-up, the infected individual's saliva is highly contagious, and even sharing an eating utensil could easily pass the virus to a new host. Fortunately for most infected individuals, these occasional reactivation cycles trigger a rapid immune response, and the virus is usually effectively forced to return to a latent state within a few days. Indeed, after the initial infection, the virus may remain latent for decades, and in many individuals, no symptoms will ever present themselves. It is my belief that in the cold northern regions, PAV has silently thrived for hundreds of years within a very large population, though given the rarity of long-distance travel, at least relative to modern times, it remains somewhat isolated, and so an infected individual may be content to live with the virus indefinitely, never any the wiser. That is, unless the victim undergoes a very particular and immense psychological strain, one that perhaps may include the life and death decision of whether to engage in the most horrific act known to their culture, and one that will surely fracture their humanity forever. Occasionally, even intrepid researchers like us need a little downtime. Sure, you could spend that time by streaming a
Anyways, guys, I'll do a part 2 of this. This is part 1, and for those of y'all who don't know, this is a brand new video. So yeah, part 2 coming out soon. Thank you guys for watching. Love you. We love you guys. Peace.